said a rich man, speak to us of giving. And he answered, you give but little when you give of your possessed nanoseconds. It is when you give of yourself that you truly give. For what are your possessions, but things you keep and guard for fear you may need them tomorrow? And tomorrow, what shall tomorrow bring to the overprudent dog burying bones in the trackless sand as he follows the pilgrims to the holy city? And what is fear of need, but need itself? Is not dread of thirst when your well is full, the thirst that is unquenchable? There are those who give little of the 23. Much which they have, and they give it for recognition, and their hidden desire makes their gifts unwholesome. And then are those who have little and give it all. These are the believers in life and the bounty of life, and their coffer is never empty. There are those who give with joy, and that joy is their reward. And there are those who give with pain, and that pain is their baptism. And then are those who give and know not pain in giving, nor do they seek joy, nor give with mindfulness of virtue. They give as in yonder valley the myrtle breathes its fragrance into space. Through the hands of such as these God speaks, and from behind their eyes he smiles upon the earth. It is well to give when asked, but it's better to give when asked, through understanding. And to the open-handed a search for 24 one who shall receive, is joy greater than G1 VMG. And is there aught you would withhold? All you have shall some day be given, therefore give now, that the season of giving may be yours, and not your inheritors. You often say, I would give, but only to the deserving. The trees in your orchard say not so, nor the flocks in your pasture. They give that they may live, for to withhold is to perish. Surely he who is worthy to receive his days and his nights, is worthy of all else from you. And he who has deserved to drink from the ocean of life deserves to fill his cup from your little stream. And what desert greater shall there be, than that which lies in the courage and the confidence, nay the charity, of receiving? And who are you that men should rend 25? Their bosom and unveil their pride, that you may see their worth laked and their pride unabashed. See first that you yourself deserve to be a giver, and an instrument of giving. For in truth it is life that gives unto life, while you, who deem yourself a giver, are but a witness. And you receivers, and you are all receivers, assume no weight of gratitude, lest you lay yoke on yourself and upon him who gives. Rather rise together with the giver on his gifts as on wings. For to be overman full of your debt, is to doubt high generosity who has the free-hearted earth for mother, and God father. 26. Then an old man, a keeper of an inn, said, speak to us of eating and drinking. And he said, would that you could live on the fragrance of the aquandot and like an air plant be sustained by the light. But since you must kill to eat, and rob the newly born of its mother's milk to quench your thirst, let it then be an act of worship. And let your board stand an altar on which the pure and the innocent of forest and plain are sacrificed for that which is purer and still more innocent in man. Where you kill a beast, say to him in your heart, by the same power that slays you, I too am slain, and I too shall be consumed. 27. For the Lord that delivered you into my hand shall deliver me into a mightier hand. Your blood and my blood is naught, but the sap that feeds the tree of heaven. And when you crush an apple with your teeth, say to it in your heart, your seed shall live in my body, and the buds of your tomorrow shall blossom in my heart. And your fragrance shall be my breath, and together we shall rejoice through all the seasons. And in the autumn, when you gather the grapes of your vineyards for the winepress, say in your heart, I too am a vineyard, and my fruit shall be gathered for the winepress. And like new wine shall be kept in eternal vessels. And in winter, when you draw the wine, 28. Let there be in your heart a song for each cup. And let there be in the song a remembrance for the autumn days, and for the vineyard, and for the winepress. 29. Then a plowman said, speak to us of work. And he answered, saying, you work that you may keep pace with the earth, and the soul of the earth. For to be idle is to become a stranger unto the seasons, and to step out of life's procession, that marches in majesty and proud submission towards the infinite. When you work, you are a flute through whose heart the whispering of the hours turns to music. Which of you would be a reed, dumb and silent, when all else sings together in unison? Always you have been told that work is a curse and labor a misfortune. But I say to you that when you work you fulfill a part of earth's furthest dream. 30. Assigned to you when that dream was born. And in keeping yourself with labor you are in truth loving life. And to love life through labor is to be intimate with life's inmost secret. But if you in your pain call birth an affliction, and the support of the flesh a curse written upon your brow, then I answer that naught but the sweat of your brow shall wash away that which is written. You have been told also that life is darkness, and in your weariness you echo what was said by the weary. And I said that life is indeed darkness save when there is urge. And all urge is blind save when there is knowledge. And all knowledge is vain save when there is work. And all work is empty save when there is love. And when you work with love you bind 31. Yourself to yourself, and to one another, and to God. And what is it to work with love? It is to weave the cloth with threads drawn from your heart, even as if your beloved were to wear that cloth. It is to build a house with affection, even as if your beloved were to dwell in that house. It is to sow seeds with tenderness, and reap the harvest with joy, even as if your beloved were to eat the fruit. It is to charge all things you fashion with the breath of your own spirit. And to know that all the blessed dead are standing about you and watching. Often have I heard you say, as if speaking in sleep, he who works in marble, and finds the shape of his own soul in the stone, is nobler than he who ploughs the soil. 32. And he who seizes the rainbow to lay it on a cloth in the likeness of man, is more than he who makes the sandals for our feet. But I say, not in sleep, but in the overwakefulness of noontide, that the wind speaks not more sweetly to the giant oaks than to the least of all the blades of grass. And he alone is great who turns the voice of the wind into a song made sweeter by his own loving. Work is love made visible. And if you cannot work with love, but only with distaste, it is better that you should leave your work, and sit at the gate of the temple, and take alms of those who work with joy. For if you bake bread with indifference, you bake a bitter bread that feeds but half man's hunger. And if you grudge the crushing of the grapes, your grudge distills a poison in the womb. 33. And if you sing though as angels, and love not the singing, you muffle man's ears to the voices of the day, and the voices of the night. 34. Then a woman said, Speak to us of joy and sorrow. And he answered, Your joy is your sorrow amassed, and the self-same well from which your laughter rises was oftentimes filled with your tears. 42 Greater than sign, and how else can it be? The deeper that sorrow carves into your being, the more joy you can contain. Is not the cup that holds your wine the very cup that was burned in the potter's oven? And is not the leap that soothes your spirit the very wood that was hollowed with knives? When you are joyous, look deep into your heart and you shall find it as an which is giving you sorrow that is giving you joy. When you are sorrowful, look again in 35. Your heart, and you shall see that in truth you are weeping for that which has been your delight. Some of you say, joy 1 second greater than sorrow, and others say, nay, sorrow is the greater. But I say unto you, they are inseparable. Together they come, and Viraham one sits alone with you at your board, remember that the other is asleep upon your bed. Verily you are suspended like scales between your sorrow and your joy. Only when you are empty are you at standstill and balanced. When the treasure keeper lifts you to weigh his gold and his silver, needs must your joy or your sorrow rise or fall. Then a mason came forth and said, Speak to us of houses. And he answered and said, Build of your imaginings a bower in the wilderness, or you build a house within city walls. For even as you have homecomings in your twilight, so has the wanderer in you, the ever distant and alone. Your house is your larger body. It grows in the sun, and sleeps in the stillness of the night, and it is not dreamless. Does not your house dream? And dreaming, leave the city for grove or hilltop. Would I could gather your houses into my hand, and like a sower scatter them in forest and meadow. Would the valleys were your streets, and the green paths your alleys, that you 37. Might seek one another through vineyards, and come with the fragrance of the earth in your garments. But these things are not yet to be. In their fear your forefathers gathered you too near together, and that fear shall endure a little longer. A little longer shall your city walls separate your hearths from your fields. And tell me, people of Orphalese, what have you in these houses? And what is it you guard with fastened doors? Have you peace, the quiet urge that reveals your power? Have you remembrances, the glimmering arches that span the summits of the mind? Have you beauty, that leads the heart from things fashioned of wood and stone to the holy mountain? Tell me, you use in your houses, or have you only comfort, and the lust for comfort, that stealthy thing that 38. Enters the house a guest, and then becomes a host, and then a master. And it becomes a tamer, and with hook and scourge makes puppets of your larger desires. Though its hands are silken, its heart is of iron. It lures you to sleep only to stand by your bed, and jeer at the dignity of the flesh. It makes mock of your sound senses, and lays them in the sedan-like fragile vessels. Really the lust for comfort murders the passion of the soul, and then walks grinning in the funeral. But you, children of space, you restless in rest, you shall not be trapped nor tamed. Your house shall be not an anchor, but a mast. It shall not be a glistening film that 39. Covers a wound, but an eyelid that guards the eye. You shall not fold your wings that you may pass through doors, nor bend your head that they strike not against a ceiling, nor fear to breathe lest walls should crack and fall down. You shall not dwell in tombs made by the dead for the living. And of your magnificence and splendor, your house shall not hold your secret nor shelter your longing. For that which is boundless in you abides in the mansion of the sky, whose door is the morning mist, and whose windows are the songs, and the silences of night. And the W3 verse said, Speak to us of clothes. And he answered, Your clothes conceal much of your beauty, yet they hide not the unbeautiful. And though you seek in garments the freedom of privacy, you may find in them harness and a chain. Would that you could meet the sun and the wind with more of your skin, and less of your raiment. For the breath of life is in the sunlight, and the hand of life is in the wind. Some of you say, It is the north wind who has woven the cloths we wear. And I say, It was the north wind, but shame was his loom, and the softening of the sinews was his thread. And when his work was done he laughed in the forest. 41. Forget not that modesty is for a shield against the eye of the unclean. And when the unclean shall be no more, what were modesty but utter and a falling of the mind? And forget not that the earth delights to feel your bare feet, and the winds long to play with your hair.